Yeah, like they don't want to identify, society as a whole doesn't want to identify the fact that we have mental illness in the black community. They don't want to. They want to talk about it. They want to talk. She got an attitude problem. Little girl, she got an attitude problem. He's just bad. Mm-hmm. They're not identifying the source where it came from, what's going on at home. There's no. They don't want to. We don't have mental illness. We just bad. We just messed up.
Right.
We just wired differently. What is that? Like, why is that? Why they get mental illness every time? Oh, he's just a poor little boy. We got the little boy. That. Well, man, because they want to claim him to be a little boy. 21-year-old. Well, Dylan, whatever his name was, not even relevant, but 21 years old, shot up 9 black people
in a
church, sat down and prayed with them. And so you had time to logically think about what you was doing. Got up, shot them, pastor included. You had to go to Burger King when they caught you.
Right.
Little boy, mental illness. He was a quiet person, a good person. Black boy, Michael Brown, thug. He's a thug. 18 years old. Now, he was 18. That man was 21. 18. They wouldn't call him a man automatically because he's 18. He fits the stature of man.
Right.
Thug. He deserved it. Look how he was acting towards the cop. He shouldn't have been so aggressive.
Yeah.
What's that? Like, he don't got no issues, but Dylan do? Yeah, he fucked up. But, I mean, like, why don't we get mental illness as a diagnosis? Or they want to give us a bunch of pills for some other shit. We bipolar. They want to give us, pills and dope us up.
Right.
Zombify.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But they have to sort of categorize that in that way, in order to, once you empower, you have the ability to dictate. You have the ability to define, right? So when you powerless, you don't have those same types of advantages. So European Americans have a media apparatus. Not only do they have a media apparatus to fuel the information and the propaganda that they want to get across to the rest of their so-called citizens, but that then is always intertwined with the rest of their power structure that they have. So that's in education, that's in politics, that's in law, that's in family, that's in entertainment. So when you see it, everyone is saying the exact same thing because the propaganda machine is so strong and so efficient because they have the ability to define and dictate. So when you see the same crime being committed by someone that's black or someone that's non-white, it's always categorized differently because you have to make the other individual evil.
Criminalize them from the beginning.
You have to criminalize them. You know what I mean? And you criminalize the behavior, then you make it accepted by the general public. So now there's no sort of outroar. There's no outcry. There's no like, well, wait a minute, let's think about this. No, there's already accepted.
Why is he already guilty? And then everybody else, we gotta wait for the rest of the evidence.
Sure. Because you have to keep the dominant relationship. You know what I'm saying? And any oppressed people have to remain oppressed. You can't be sympathetic to oppression if you're the oppressor. If you are the colonizer, you can't be sympathetic and understanding of the colonized. You know what I mean? So this is something that white people has mastered. And they can always sort of protect their own to the wider world. And what's even crazy is you heard this before where you lied to yourself so long that you actually believe the lie. So now they actually believe that any actions committed by white people of any race, not any race, excuse me, of any age or any class, that it falls into the category of mental illness. In other words, if there was a divorce that occurred, that was like, oh my God, like they had a divorce. He was obviously going through something. Right. A divorce rate. But first of all, black people ain't even getting married for real.
Right.
But when we do, we getting divorced too. It's a lot of familial dysfunction in obviously
Right.
in our community, but that's never addressed. We don't even have the majority of our fathers in the household, but that's never an issue that's brought up when we talk about the behavior issues of our kids. It's always brought up when we speaking about white kids.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to say, well, maybe his father wasn't there, and so maybe that's why he had a problem and he's emotional and that's why he acted out. But on the black scale, but on the white boy, oh, his mom and dad had a horrible divorce and his sister had to get split custody and so traumatic for him.
Traumatic. This is traumatic shit.
My dad been gone since
Listen,
when? Why would that?
It's something for us to say you got a dad.
Right.
We surprised you got a dad.
He be around.
He there.
He not locked up.
like
he not.
So that's
being oppressed.
Yeah, that's abnormal for us. You know what I'm saying? So, we deal with trauma on a daily basis.
Just going to school.
Being black in this country is traumatic.
Turn on the news. You getting traumatized because your people instantly being
by design, and that's by design. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So they have to continue to criminalize you. You know what I mean? Make you bad, make you evil, so that when they do go into the attack, psychological has to come first before they can actually participate in the actual physical attack.
What was that statement? Take the mind, lead the body.
Yeah, Carter G. Woodson said, once you control the mind, you don't have to worry about the actions of an individual. And so they have sort of done this to the world. The world actually see black people and white people starkly different.
Yeah.
The behavioral actions, anytime that a white, I guess NTA or whatever, can go into a school, take a young woman out of her seat, choke her, fling her across the room, and then have people justify and rationalize that behavior.
We gotta wait for the rest of the evidence, and then the thing is, he took time to move the books out the way, so he knew what he was about to do.
It's insane.
He handled it.
It's insane. Now let's literally think about this. If that was a lily white girl,
Call her Brittany,
in a black NTA, or school disciplinary, did the same act, do you think the rhetoric in the conversation would have been the same?
How dare he have the audacity to touch a little girl? Her family just died.
No, fuck that. That's safe. They wouldn't even go into none of that. He needs to be criminalized.
Charges.
If not a group of white
Parents.
males,
They would have came up to the school.
of course. And then the action of the violence that would have been done to that man would have been justified.
It's understandable.
Of
They
course.
justify the guy getting beat up at Trump's rally. So why
So
wouldn't they?
and I've had posted this before on Facebook, but that whole mental illness thing is again a propaganda tool that white people use, in the perpetuation of white supremacy.
Right.
But the entire black community, nearly is mentally ill. You go through 400 plus years of slavery, and that's in our DNA. That's genetic. Our ancestors are with us. That pain, that hurt, that's with us.
It's passed down.
And then you do 150 some odd years of Jim Crow, segregation, of when you just systematically told you inferior, and less than, you know what I mean, and you go pissing and all that and are dirty and
You just fight for the country, can't eat
all that, you know what I mean. And then you go into, and then they kill your leaders and all that. And then they miseducate you, put you on drugs and come on, man, like
pumping drugs to the community.
And that's just the outward blatant shit. The subtle racism, and constant indoctrination that we constantly are faced with is a form of or trauma that perpetuates itself into mental illness. White people don't have that same type of excuse by far.
Mm-mm.